Good, thanks.
Yeah.
Brilliant, man. It feels like it's been a minute. It's been a while since I've been on this.
It has been.
Yeah.
You're always busy with all, being famous with the Spurs fans, Patty. That's
It's a tough life. It's a tough life.
I know. And it's amazing to see both Kate and Patty smiling after you just re-signed Timo Werner.
I'm smiling at the meltdown that it's caused. It just has been. It's off the charts. Anyone would think someone blew up the stadium. It's hilarious. So I watch from afar with a wry smile and think to myself, let's just wait and see what happens come the start of the season.
Yeah, I kind of echo that sentiment, to be fair. I mean, I've not even put anything out. I'm jumping on Last Word on Spurs later, and it's literally a whole pod on Timo Werner. And I think people have gone crazy over it. And I get it from both sides. I mean, are we going to talk about it in detail, Terry, or are we just going to quickly touch on it and move on?
Yeah. Go on, touch on it, mate. Go on.
Yeah. It's disappointing. I mean, when he came in the summer, sorry, not in the summer, in the January window, when I looked at all the other teams that didn't really do much business, and the fact that we had so many busts on the bench, like, Gil, Solomon was out for the season, Perisic was out for the season, Valise wasn't playing and he got shipped off to Spain. Like, it made sense. Son was over at the Asia Games. We didn't really have anyone. So at that time, I got it. But now, considering it's the summer, considering that the market is open and we can go shopping anywhere, really, it leaves a lot to be desired. But if, the window's literally just opened, so I need to see what we do before I go crazy. But I understand why some people are going a bit nuts, considering, they're like, if this is the benchmark of this is where we're starting, it is quite low. But then, I don't know, it's a weird one. I don't know what to think, if I'm being honest. He's been okay in games. In other games, he's been crap. I don't know.
That's the story of our wingers, though. To be fair, it's the same as Johnson, but it is what it is. I'm not one of these people that's going to go on stream and scream and shout and cry and say, Ange out, Levy out, everyone out. It is what it is. I've got too much stress in my life to start worrying about Timo bloody Werner. That's all I'm going to say.
The difference is with
contributions since he came. He's not been awful.
No, he's
not been awful.
Yeah, he's not been awful, but he's not been great either. He's missed a lot of chances. The thing is, with Brennan Johnson, I can forgive him because it's only his second season in the Premier League. Next year will be his third. Brennan Johnson's 22. Timo Werner's 28. He's the Finnish article. And I do like his directness, obviously his pace, but his finishing, obviously, is really poor. And I just feel that, he's on 180 bags a week. He's on a lot of money. So it's not like he comes in and, yes, there's no transfer fee per se, but we're paying all of his wages. So he's not cheap. But I
think you're right. It's about looking at what else you do. You might get to the end of the window and you look at Werner and he's purely a kind of backup option on a loan. There's 2 or 3 other signings that bolster your front line and you're not too worried. And I think that's always the sensible thing to do at the start of the transfer window, is to almost just, bide your time before essentially getting mental. But that's difficult for some people. Some people absolutely, no matter what's going on, they want to go off the edge of a cliff every single time. And I do get it. Listen, I think there's a lot of banter in you guys redoing the deal for Werner, considering he wasn't particularly successful. But as I say, I do think it's sensible to not overly panic when the window hasn't even opened. It opens in a couple of days' time. So I think, I've seen fan bases. I saw Mickey Phelan. I respect him. He's a Man United legend. Okay, as a player, as a coach, he is part of that. But sort of said, Ineos have done enough talking now. It's time for them to start making action. Well, they can't do anything official until the 1st of June because the transfer window doesn't open. All the people making the decisions are not even in yet because of the gardening leave they're on. Like, what else what's Mickey Phelan expected? The new stadium to be built? What did he expect? It's crazy. So yeah, I just kind of feel like sometimes you've got to keep your powder dry in these situations. Viewers, let us know what you think and let us know what you feel. Jordan Kelly says here, come up with some proper football news stories then. Yeah, I mean, fans talk about stories in the media. I don't know where you've been. What I'm going to do, Jordan Kelly, I'm going to block you for the rest of this show. Not that we can't take the criticism, but you are criticizing us for being honest. And that is just, we're talking about journalistic stories. Fan channels, let me repeat to Jordan at the back, fan channels are not the media. We are not making the stories up. Is it loud and clear, Jordan? Honestly, someone's got to have a word. She must have dropped him on his head as a baby. His mother must have dropped him on her head. You know, that Slough from the Goonies. I would have dropped you once, maybe twice. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them, because how do people not get what fan channels are in 2024 is beyond me. But I wanted to start actually with a big bit of breaking news that's got Arsenal fans, some happy, it's got some a little worried. John Cross, who's very well connected at Arsenal, has put out a piece fairly recently stating that Benjamin Sesko has given the green light to move to Arsenal as the Gunners line up a £45 million deal. So stating that Sesko to Arsenal, the player has agreed to move to the football club as long as the financials can be done between the two clubs. I mean, a gal will be here soon, so we will get his opinion on it. But thoughts on that, Tom? Young Benjamin Sesko going to Arsenal, according to this story.
I mean, he's had a good season for Leipzig, but the entire Red Bull club's history with producing strikers that are able to perform at the top level is really quite bad. You've got Haaland, and then probably your next best option is Hwang Hee-chan. You've got superb players in there like Alexander Sørloth, who was out on loan for 2 years. Andre Silva, who God knows what he's doing now. Timo Werner, obviously. Yusuf Poulsen, who's still there. Patson Daka, can't forget him. So none of these strikers, bar Erling Haaland, have been able to transfer the form they showed to the top level. Now, Sesko's a good striker.
What about Mane?
When was he there? He was like in 2011. Sure, that we can chuck Mane on that list as well as a winger. I was on about strikers.
But he's an attacker. Mane is from the RB. He did pretty well at Liverpool, did he?
He was all right, yeah. But we're on about strikers here.
I'm just putting it out there. I'm just putting it out there.
Strikers. I mean, he could be good. He could be good. He was decent at Salzburg. He's had a good season at Leipzig. I think he's like scored or assisted in his last 12 games, so he's shown consistency there. But is it going to transfer to a new league? There's going to be an awful lot of pressure on his shoulders should he be the striker that Arsenal turn to this summer, because everyone thinks that is the position that Arsenal need to win the league now. So if he's the striker that comes in, all eyes are on him to be the catalyst to get them over the line next season. Is he going to be able to handle that pressure in his first season at Arsenal? I don't know. It's an interesting one. I think it's a big gamble if Arsenal go for it. I really do. I think that they're banking on what he can be in the long term, especially because short term wise, I don't necessarily think he's going to be the big difference maker between them and City in a year. I don't. So I've got my reservations about it. I think that they could go for a different type of striker, maybe someone who's a little bit more experienced.
Yeah, he's a young kid, right? He's only 20 years old. Scored 14 goals, so he's a big prospect, like Tom's saying. But I think Arsenal need a finished article. They need a 20 to 25 goal a season guy straight away if they want to bridge that gap. The gap wasn't that big, if we're being honest, but I don't think a 20-year-old coming in will, unless they go and buy somebody else as well, then that's fantastic. But as it stands, he's not enough right now. They need more than just, a 21-year-old kid in a brand new league who scored 14 goals. If he comes to the Prem and gets 12 to 15, that's good. But they need a 20 to 25, even a 30-goal a season guy if they really want to be that formidable force that they're looking to be and step up that next level.
Who do you think that guy is, Patty? If it isn't Sesko, but I think a lot of people keep saying Sesko. I believe it's pronounced Sesko. Okay. I could be wrong, but I it's like you get one person say it's Sesko, and then you'll hear a commentator say Cisco, and then you'll hear someone from his mother tongue say it a completely different way. But who do you think they should be going for, Arsenal, in your opinion, Patty?
Isaac. Throw the money at Isaac. He's right there. He's in the Premier League. He's proven. The guy's quality. He's only going to get better. He can finish. He can dribble. He can pass, and he's a killer. He's a killer in front of goal. That's the guy that he should be going for.
The only issue with that is that Newcastle was saying they want £200 million for him.
Yeah, I know, but like obviously that's not a realistic price tag for him. If our Arsenal is serious and throw some weight around, being in the Champions League, competing, they can show us like that. Put 100 million up and see what happens. See if that forces the player to, start putting some rumours out through his camp. If it causes some unrest, if they really want him, put a decent bid up to begin with, and then take it from there. No one's going to pay 200 million for Isaac. That's not serious. But 100 million plus, if they're serious about really solidifying that front line, yeah, that will do some. Of course, there'll probably be cheaper strikers in Europe, but if you're looking at someone who right now steps in and instantly improves their team, I think he's the guy.
I mean, I look at what they've got as options already. I think Kai Havertz had a really good end to the season, and he's going to give them something next year as that number 9, whether it's the false 9. I therefore think that they don't necessarily need this big physical presence of a striker, because Kai Havertz is sort of, he can fill in that mold. Big up Mr. 16 out of 10. He can fill that mold as a bit of a physical striker who can throw his weight about and cause defenders problems. So I think there's an element of Arsenal needing a smaller, maybe more diminutive in behind striker to utilise Martin Odegaard's passing range a little bit more, because I felt that at times last season Arsenal were getting the ball in behind, but when Martinelli wasn't playing, especially, there was a lack of pace to really make them opportunities count. I think if they want to go for a striker from Leipzig, go get a Pender. A better track record. He's done it in more leagues, more successful leagues. He's only slightly older, but he offers a much different skill set to what Sesko is. I think the big thing Arsenal needs to do now is get plan Bs. Sesko and Kai Havertz are basically plan A and plan 1 and plan 1.5. There's not much difference between them. I think they need something entirely different as that other striker to really cause problems. So if for whatever reason Havertz isn't having a good game, then you turn to the other striker and go down his avenues of attack. That's the way I see it anyway.
How about yourself, Kate? I mean, this is someone who is more prospect than ready-made in most people's eyes. Is that the right thing in your view for Arsenal to be doing?
Look, there's no disputing that Arteta does well with young players. He seems to be developing the youngsters. But if I were an Arsenal fan, I think I'd be a little bit underwhelmed. For 45 million to go and get this guy is a gamble. I mean, he was linked with Tony. They've been linked with Tony. They've been linked with Rashford. At least they're both proven in the Premier League. I just think they could do better than this guy. I do think if they get themselves a real top quality striker and possibly another winger, maybe, that they can challenge City. I'm just not sure this is the guy. But, they're not my team. It's just, if I was an Arsenal fan, I think I'd be a little bit underwhelmed with that signing. I think they should be looking to really go that next step next season and win that title. And I don't think he is going to be the one that gets them over the line.
I might be the only one who rates him. Jeez. Yeah, I think he's class. I've wanted him since like 2020, 2021. So I want Chelsea to sign him. I'd rather sign him than Osimhen. These again, 100 mils.
David, do you think he can get you 20 goals a season next season?
Well, he only played half the season this year. He really only started playing after like midway through the Bundesliga, and he's still got 14 goals. The only thing I would say is that Bundesliga forwards, I feel, tend to struggle more in translating over to the Prem, because obviously the style of football they play in the Bundesliga is vastly different to what they do in the Prem, because they're just very open. But I think he's actually just naturally a very good finisher. And I think if you just give him loads of chances, he'll score the goals. I don't think that changes depending on the league you're in.
Don's got a question for you here, David. He says, David, how often have you watched him play this season?
Well, I haven't watched. I've watched him, I don't know, maybe 6. I'd say about five Leipzig games in the second half of the season. But I've been watching him for the past 4 years. So I've seen him like grow. So yeah. But I don't want Osimhen, because I don't like 100 mil signings, because they don't make sense.
Well, it's interesting you say that.
That man's got some serious Lukaku PTSD.
No, Terry will tell you. I was on a stream when it was live and we signed Lukaku, and I was just there like, what are we doing? And everyone laughed at me, but I was right.
I mean, it's interesting because one of the talking points tonight is a story that's come out that Chelsea are looking to put in a £113 million bid for Victor Osimhen, but you would rather spend £50 million on Benjamin Sesko.
Yeah, 100%. I don't see what player in this current Chelsea team is worth 100 mil to add into it. It doesn't make sense to me. We have so many holes in the squad. We want to sign 5 players, and we've got PSR breathing down our necks, but we want to spend 100 mil on one position. I don't see how all of those things can add up, and we end up in a better spot than we were. We might score more goals, but with Thiago Silva gone, I don't want to end up in a situation where I've got to play Disasi and Badiashile for 20 games in a row. That's a bad recipe. It's a bad recipe. My fullbacks either get red cards or they get injuries. I need backups. I need a full squad. I've got a Conference League to deal with now. Thanks, Man United. Still fuming, right? I don't need 100 mil. I don't need 100 mil signing. I've got 2 of them in midfield that don't seem to work together. So we have to figure that out anyway. So
no, but Enzo, your new manager has said that he's got a plan to unlock Enzo. So you're good, man.
Honestly, when we announced it, he wasn't my first choice. I'm not going to sit here and be like, I wanted Maresca from day one. But I don't think we're going to be as bad as people think we're going to be. Again, if I looked at it today, like my way too early predictions for next year, I'd put us 5th. That's where I'd put us right now. Just 5th.